Pierre Galletti made outstanding contributions to medical and biological engineering. He was really the first biomedical engineer who had a strong grounding in medicine. He received his medical degree in 1951, and then he got his Ph.D. in physiology 3 years later in 1954. I also had a training in medicine followed by physiology 3 years later. So from the very beginning, my career had taken on the path of Dr. Pierre Galletti, and he was a role model from the very beginning. I was born and raised in China. I went to pre-med school at Peking University in Beijing. And then I went to Taiwan to enter the National Taiwan University as a medical student. When I finished my medical education, I considered whether I should go into clinical medicine to be a physician or to become a researcher and teacher that is going to academic disciplines in a medical school, particularly basic science. Although I enjoyed working with patients, but I found doing creative research is much more challenging and rewarding. So that is how I decided to go into basic research. And I choose physiology because it's a dynamic discipline looking at mechanisms of our life. Because in Taiwan at that time, there was not much possibility to pursue advanced research. I came to the United States to enter Columbia University for my graduate training in physiology. After receiving my PhD in physiology, I stayed in the department at Columbia as a faculty, rising through the ranks to full professor, where I performed studies primarily centering on cardiovascular system. I had a deep interest in math even when I was very young. Therefore, I like to pursue more quantitative approach in physiology. That is when I worked together with my engineering colleagues, particularly Professor Richard Skalak at Columbia University. So together, we pursue biomedical engineering research, bridging his expertise in engineering and my interest in physiology and medicine. So we became a team of biomedical engineers. We worked on red cell membrane mechanics at first. Then later on, I started working on endothelial cells and vascular biology and bioengineering. When I was doing research on the flow dynamics in the circulation, I discovered that one of the elements that's important is the flow properties of blood. That led me into the research on blood viscosity, the flow properties of blood, and from there, the elements that made up the blood, that is the blood cells, and the suspending fluid, that is the plasma. And then I got into a more detailed investigation onto the mechanisms by which the individual blood cells can deform under flow forces and how they can undergo reversible aggregation. And these factors determine the blood viscosity. Even though we got into the field only about 4 or 5 years, we were able to publish 3 papers in Science to study the endothelial cells instead of just the blood alone, because the blood interacts with the endothelial cells. So look at the interaction and eventually the endothelial cells, then how the flow forces can modulate the functions of endothelial cells. At first, we were only looking at the cellular level, but then we were able to get into more detailed levels, the molecular level, genetic level, and now the epigenetic level. But at the end, we have to put all of these together to go from the details back into the whole system, to the cells, to the tissue, to the organs, to the whole body, because after all, the health and well-being deals with the whole body. So we go from the whole to the parts, and then go from the individual parts back to the total. Sort of integrative approach. That is what makes it so interesting, both in physiology and in bioengineering. It is the same. It's this integrative approach that is most exciting. Where in life, we all want to pursue our passion. And I think I'm very fortunate, like many of my colleagues, we're working in a field that's so easy to get excited because we want to understand how the human body works in health and what goes wrong in disease, and how can we do something to either prevent or treat these. So this is such an exciting field, so that even though I am passing the older retirement age, I'm still working because I'm passionate about it, and I'm very fortunate I still have the physical and mental capability to do that. We may not see the immediate reward, but we feel that it is there. And it's not as tangible, but it's likely to be even more effective. These two are complementary. I don't think one is better than the other. Either way, as long as you can help people, make people live better, it is rewarding. It is a wonderful field that for the young people, I recommend it very, very highly for you to consider, as long as you have the passion and the interest.